One of the things that I constantly I think about the nature of influence and the ways in which artists are constantly influencing one another, speaking to one another, across to one another, appropriating from one another, stealing from one another, borrowing from one another, loving one another. It's a sort of a door that we all kind of swing through, that no matter what, we are always affected and influenced by the things that we see around us as artists. We are always responding. And it's one of the ways in which I sort of start thinking about work and thinking about my own practice, is thinking about the people that I'm influenced by. I'm influenced by sound, by music, by dance, by other painters, sculptors, photographers, etc. It knows no bound, and any number of artists are as well, always riffing off of one another. And so this idea of originality is really a false notion in a way.
Thank you, Ms. Carrie Mae Weems, for staying for my question. I'm a photographer and graphic designer. A lot of my work is around socio-political work. So particularly when you're working on social campaigns, how do you ensure that you are considering and creating for the communities that with the communities you're serving rather than for?
Well, I'm really creating for me.
I mean,
like I'm not a political scientist. I'm not a marketing expert, right? I don't know anything about advertising. I've never studied it before, right? I've never read a single book on it, maybe once a long time. I don't know any of that stuff. And so I assume that I am making work that I need to see because I believe that it's important for myself. And because I am not an alien, I assume that it's going to have an impact on somebody else, right? But I really do start with, what do I need to say to me? What is it that I need to map out that has real resonance and power for me, right? That I can say, life is beautiful. That's important to me.
I'm curious about the responsibility of the we and Black artists. And speaking to Black artists, like, do we hold that responsibility in responding to each other in the we?
I just feel like I have a responsibility. I have a responsibility. And I care about that responsibility. Like I care about, and not just connecting to Black artists, by the way. I care about connecting to artists, and I care about connecting to multiple communities. And but I do believe that that African American artists and that people of color are uniquely qualified to speak about our moment because we've had to live it in a very, very unique and very intense kind of way. And so what we bring to the table is often very layered and very complicated because it comes out of a very specific kind of circumstance, of a cultural, political circumstance. And I think that there's something important and extraordinary about using that understanding to the best of your ability, no matter how you decide to go, right? But it's the material that allows you to anchor in a way. You have a subject. Most people are trying to find theirs.
I've been looking at your work for years and years. And one of the things especially in the early work, but I think continuing throughout, I can look at one piece and find an incredible story in the one singular image. Could you talk about how you think about storytelling and stories and how I find them just amazingly layered as you look at your work in multiple stories? And part of the reason I think they stay so current is because they read in such an amazing way. You talked about history, but I think there is history, but the story to me still always remains the key thing as I look at your work.
I'm very interested in life is really complicated. I mean, it's really complicated stuff. And so I'm sure that I've made very didactic work, not trying to, but I've failed miserably often. But I think that, yes, the work that is the most successful is because the work is really deeply layered, and that there are many different stories that I'm trying to tell simultaneously. I don't think that there's just one sort of linear story. I think that, you know, the story is a complex layering of situations and positions that I'm trying to simply understand, that I'm trying to understand myself, right, as the maker, right, as the developer of the thing. And that, the work is very humbling, you know, because to do it is really very difficult.